everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way. And last week on my Facebook Live, I did a journaling project in one of my journals. And I asked you if you liked it and if you wanted to see more of it. And I heard from a lot of you that yes, you did want to see more of that. So I'm just going to take a couple more weeks and give you some more ideas on the journaling, and then we'll go from there. If you want to see more, be sure you tell me in the comments and let me know what you want to see. I love doing these things. I love doing different things, and I love giving you inspiration. So if this is something you want to see more of, I am happy to show you. So for this week's project, I am back in my journal again, and I'm going to do a Southwest theme. I love this Southwest look, and I feel like there's a lot of you out there in the drier climates that maybe would love something like this, or to do something like this in a journal. So here we go. We're going to do this project. I have my camera way far away so that you can see this project, but when we actually do it, when I actually do the project, I'm going to bring the camera back down and we'll do each section at a time so that you can see closer what I'm doing. So I'm going to use exclusively these two sets, and these are the Southwest set. This is the desert set, and this is the Southwest set. I'm going to use several things in here. What I did was I took all of these pieces and put them on blocks and just had them out in front of me, and I just grabbed them as I went. So you can do that. You know, you can do these simple. So what I did on this page was I really filled it up. I tried to just put as many stamps in here as I could, but actually, it's really neat to just do it simple too. So if you can see the whole page on here, you could do just the top. You know, just the top, a little structure, maybe a little cactus, you know, with this, you know, little mountain in the background. You could do that. You could do just a little something on the side, or a little something in the bottom, across the bottom, and then you could mirror it on the other page. So just because I'm filling up this page doesn't mean that I am inspiring you to complete the entire page. Now you can if you want to, but depending on how much time you have. And you know, you can change it up. So if you decide you want to do a journal with a Southwest theme, maybe your first page is really elaborate, and then as you go, maybe you do a little something in one corner, maybe you do something in another corner, maybe you just do a tiny little something on a page, and then just kind of change it up and kind of carry that theme throughout. But you don't have to do it exactly the same on each page. That's how I would do it. I would really try to mix it up. I would do a little something different on each page and still keep that theme going. Another really cute stamp would be the cowboy boots. I was going to grab that and actually just totally forgot until just now. But you could grab those cowboy boots. That would be really fun to include in here somewhere. And I think I think this whole theme would be really, really fun. I think doing a journal like this would be really fun, especially for a special someone that you want to give a special gift to. So let me just say that I have prepped my page in case I forget to say that during this project. If you are new to this whole technique and you don't know what I mean by that, check out the video on how to prep your page so that you can watercolor in a journal or a book or a Bible. And check that out. There's an entire video on how to do that. You will want to use watercolor ground and brush that onto your page. But it's a really simple process, and it dries really quickly. So I have prepped my page, and I've prepped the whole border area. Now you can prep the entire page if you want to. You don't need to, and you can see that it dries so that you can't see it at all. And I've also buffed it out because I like it to be smooth. So on my page that I'm going to be working on, I have done the same thing. I've prepped my page, and let me just tell you what I'm using here. So if I can remember, I'm going to use this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one from the Southwest theme set. And then from the desert set, I'm going to use the two saguaro cactuses, this small one, the rocks, the grass, the branch, and the little structure. So I'm using about everything in these sets. So fun. Okay, let's get going. I have another journal here, so I can close that one up and just open this one. Now you can prep both sides of the journal page. You can do, you can stamp on both sides. And let me just show you in that one page I just did, let me just show you that there is no bleed on this at all. And that is a lot of color on this page. So I do love that about the ground. It really, really works. So I'm gonna drop my camera down so that you can see better what I'm doing here. So here is my page, and I'm going to get going here. And let's start up in the top corner. That seems to be the best place to start. That's usually where I start when I do anything. So let's start up in that top corner with a little structure. So we are going through and stamping our basic image. That's usually how we start anyway. So I'm going to use 2 colors with this. And I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap watercolor paper so that I can stamp off anything I need to stamp off. And I'm just going to ink this in the blue and the dark brown. So the 969 and the 565, so those 2. Okay, I was getting a glare, so I just had to close my blinds, you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to ink this in 2 colors. We're going to do the dark blue first, and then we're going to do the dark brown next. So 2 colors on this little guy, and then I'm going to stamp it off on my watercolor paper because I don't want it to be too dark in here. And I think I'm going to stamp it down a little bit, maybe right about here. That looks pretty good. And then let's go ahead and cover that and put that little mountain into the background. So I'm just going to cover this up just like this. And then I'm going to ink this mountain back here. And I'm just going to use the brown. This is the dark brown, same dark brown. And I'm going to use a black. This is the N25. And I'm just going to go over it with the black also. And then I'm going to stamp it off. And I'm just going to put it behind the house, about there. I don't want it too dark in the background. And that looks pretty good right there. And let's go ahead and add that little saguaro cactus over here. And we're going to stamp this in 2 colors. Now, the reason I do that is because, you know, these saguaro cactuses, I mean, they really have a brown tone to them. So we don't want to make them too green. So I'm going to use that dark brown first, and then I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to add the green to it. And it really doesn't matter what green you use. And then I'm just going to stamp it right about here. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I have my basic images in, so now we can take, I can take my brush and add my water to it and do the fun part. So let me move this down here a little bit. Make sure I have this in the screen. So I'm going to dip my brush off now, and I'm going to pull the color out of the lines. So remember, when you're doing this in a journal, it is a little bit different. You really don't want to use too much water. Just take your time with this and just gradually pull that color out of the lines. Just take your time. You can see that mix of color come out, especially when you're using this watercolor ground. You really can see that combination of color. And then we can add, this is just a warm brown. So this is the 947. This is the warm brown. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this and add it to the mountain. And I'm just gonna take some of this and just kind of drag this line over also. I don't want to see the end. I don't want these lines to just kind of end, you know, abruptly end. I want to see them kind of fade out. And now I can do that same thing. You can see that brown that kind of comes out, you know, of the lines. Just be careful you don't get too much water, and make sure you leave some white spaces. You want to see that texture in here. And let's just put a little blue. This is that dark blue, same dark blue we used before, that 565. And I'm just gonna put a little shadow on here. And now let's go on to this little structure. And I'm doing the darker areas first. So these areas, this area on the side, you know, that's gonna be in the shadow. And then in here. And then I'm just gonna come in with my fine tip. This is my fine tip, my TwinTone. And I'm just gonna really darken these windows. And even though you're using the fine tip and you're really darkening this, it's not gonna bleed through. So let's just pull some of this color. Let's put some of this blue onto the side here so we can get a shadow. And then I'm just gonna add a little brown now. This is that same warm brown to the door. You know, if you leave it, you know, if you're gonna leave this white, you wanna kind of muddy it up a little bit. So you don't wanna leave it just you know, pure white. And then I'm just gonna drag some of this color out from the bottom and add a little of this brown in here. Just keep pinching your brush off. I mean, it just takes a little bit of time to kind of figure out how much water to use, but you will get it. It's worth the effort. It really is, because it's just so fun and it just creates such a neat thing. And it just makes these, you know, these things so personal when you take the time to do this. And like I said before, you know, it doesn't have to be elaborate. You could put this little structure with a little mountain behind it and a cactus, and you know, you're good to go. But it is fun. And you could also just stamp a bunch of these, you know, a bunch of your pages and take it with you when you go on vacation. Kind of have something to do. Now I'm just brushing in a little of that blue into the background. I always think about a Southwest sky as, you know, bright blue in the daytime. And then, you know, you could add lots of color in here and do a really pretty sunset too, which would be really fun. Okay, so now let's add some detailing here. So I'm gonna use those, that grass. I've got this grass here, and I've got this little branch, and my little go-to rocks, which I just love. Love these little guys. They're really made to work on a repeat. So we're gonna use these a lot, and I'll be able to show you exactly how they work. So I'm gonna use these in the background now. And here's what they look like. So let me just stamp this on a scrap piece of paper so you can see. That's what they look like. But here's how we want to use them. We want to just kind of use them around like this, like that, and you know, create this background texture. So when you're using them in the background like this and kind of far away, you want to kind of stamp it off first so that they're not too dark. So that's what I'm doing. I'm stamping it off, and I can also use it back in here. Back in the background, just to create a little texture back in here. And then when you add water to this, you're just gonna dab it. You just dab. Just like we do with all the foliage and everything that we add, the flowers, the filler flowers, we're gonna do it the same way. You're just gonna dab and just kind of let it do its thing. And it's going to create this really nice rocky ground. Okay, so now we can add some grasses in here. Now these grasses are in the background, so I'm just going to use the tips, just the tips, because I don't want it too dark or too tall back here. And then we can put a little bit in here by this cactus. And you know, when you put this grass in, you know, it's not lush green grass, so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to add a lot of water to it. In fact, it's really better not to. Just let it kind of, you know, be a little scraggly. I'm just going to bring this down, bring this down in the background. Okay, so we've got the top of our page done, really. I could add a little more green to that, that cactus. Just a little bit. And you could take the fine tip, you know, of your dark brown. And you know how these, you know, swirls, they kind of have holes and stuff in them. You can add a little bit of that. Kind of make them look a little older. They're so cool. Just so neat. And you can add a few little spikes to it like that. Maybe a few little grasses. Freehand, you guys. Little freehand. Nothing to it. Okay, so we've got the top part done, really. I'm gonna just hold it up so that you can see it a little closer. It's a little far away just because this canvas is so large, but you can kind of see how to do it. Just do it really simple. You don't really have to worry about filling in every section. You know, when I do these journals, I sort of do little pictures all over the place. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And then you can stop when you want to stop. You don't have to fill up the whole page. You can do a little picture and you can just kind of let it be. Okay, so I'm gonna move down now to the side of my page, and I'm just going to put in my large cactus, this guy, and I'm gonna stamp him in the brown again, just like I did the other one, and stamp it off. So I think that gives you a more realistic look and color to this this cactus by doing that. So now I'm going to stamp that off, and I'm going to add the green to it now. So again, doesn't matter what green you choose. I'm using the 177. And I'm just going to stamp this down about, probably about here. It's probably good. And that was off the camera, so I'm going to move this up so that you can see. Actually, let me move this down just a little bit. As I juggle my book here. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so now I'm going to take there we go. I'm going to pull the color out of the lines now. I'm just going to follow these lines. So remember, you're going to leave some white spaces. Really, really important. Pull the color out of the lines, but leave some white spaces because you want to see the texture, the ridges in here. And make it dark where it should be dark, which would be underneath. You know, underneath these arms are going to be darker. And then at the top, you want to leave that highlight. So even when you're doing small things like this, it's really important to kind of follow those rules because it's going to look more like a painting. And, you know, leave those white spaces where you would see those ridges, you know, in that cactus. And then come in here with your fine tip again. And, you know, I always think about there being a hole like underneath here. You know, and then, I don't know, birds nest and stuff in these, and it's just so cool. So you can do something like that if you want to. All right, so now I'm going to add another cactus. This one right here. And I'm just going to use the green on this one. And just kind of stamp it over to the side. Just kind of lean it over like that. And then I'm just using my brush now, and the same thing. Think about where the light is. The light is going to be at the top of the image. And all these little parts of the cactus, they're all rounded, so they're all gonna have a highlight. So just think about always leaving a highlight. Just don't let yourself color everything in solid. It's just really hard to do. But that's why I think, that's why I say to take your time too. You know, these projects are made to be quick and easy, but you still need to kind of take your time. All right, so I'm going to take my blue and just really darken these areas where these little things connect, and maybe add a few more little stickers in here, just like that. And then we can come in here now with our handy rocks. These work so great. And I'm just gonna ink them now in the brown. So remember, the first time that you stamp it, you wanna stamp it off so that it's not too dark. And then remember to just dab. Leave some white spaces. Like that. And then we can come in with our grass. And I'm using, by the way, I'm using kind of an olive green when I stamp the grass, and it's this number 27. It doesn't look like it would be this color. The cap is very misleading, but it's a really, really nice color. And you can just put a little bit of this in, just like that. And I think I will just over the top, just stamp this branch in, kind of an old dead branch. I'm just inking it in the brown. And when you ink things like this, you know, it's really more of an accent. So you're really just stamping it in once and you're good to go. You don't need to add any water to it. And now I'm gonna pull just a little bit of this color out just to give us the idea that there's something behind here. You know, it's not out in the open all by itself. Okay, so I'm gonna lift this up so that you can really see that close up. See how easy that is? Just super fun. So now I'm gonna come back up here to the top and put in a little, last time when I did this, I used a little bench, which I just love. So I just grabbed one of those little benches, and I'm gonna do that again, add it into here, and use two colors. So the dark brown and the black. So I'm gonna do black over the top. So this thing is really dark. And I'm just gonna stamp it maybe right here. And then just dip your brush in water. You're just gonna go over it, you know, over these little boards where it is. And then just take a little blue and just put a little shadow under it. And then we're just gonna hit it with some grass. Maybe just a little bit over here. You know, you don't have to use the entire stamp. You know, that's just, it's such a cool thing about stamping that you can just use the part that you want to use. Okay, so let's move down, and we're going to go down to the bottom now. And let me just see if I can fix this camera so you can see. So I am now down to the bottom of the page, and I'm going to stamp the pot. This is the pot that comes from the Southwest set. I'm gonna ink this in two colors. So the brown first, the dark brown, and the dark blue. So right over the top, I'm gonna ink that dark blue. And then I'm just gonna take off part of the bottom, just because I want to add some rocks and things in here, and I want to kind of tip it a little bit, just to add a little interest. So just like that. And then I'm going to take that large rock, those large rocks from the, I'll show you which one it is here. It's these rocks right here, these large rocks. We're going to use those right next to this pot. And we're just going to ink them in the brown and then the blue right over the top. And I'm just going to stamp it right next to that little, and maybe another one over there. And then I think I'm just going to rub this off and just do one more over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you will get a lot of color in these rocks because I didn't stamp them off. So you get a really nice mix of color in here. So that blue comes out and the brown. And then I'm just going to pull the color now out of the lines of the pot. And just kind of drag it over to the center. And then we can add some color to it. Use some blue. I'm just really partial to blue. So you can use whatever color you want on here. If you're going to use a light color, I would stamp it off first. Especially if you're going to use something like orange, orange or yellow or something like that. Be sure to stamp it off. But I'm using this dark blue, so it didn't matter at all. Okay, so let's add something now into the background. I'm just going to add a little color in here first. So I'm just going to put a little of this brown in. And then some rocks. I'm just inking these in the dark brown. So again, you're just stamping it kind of over and over like this. Now in the foreground, you can make them a little darker. Always dip your brush and pinch it off, and then just jump your brush around so you're just dabbing. And then just pinch it off. Just like that. And let's add some cactus in here. And I think I'll just put it in here like this. Maybe add one more over here. And those of you who live, in the desert like this, you probably know the names of all these cacti. So I'm just pulling this color a little bit out from the side as well. And then let's add something in over here. It's a little succulent, this one right here. So I'm gonna use that same green again. It doesn't matter what green you use. You can use whatever green you want to use. Now with this one, you really don't need a lot of water because you want to maintain the integrity of the stamp here. So you want to see that shape. So you're just really, it's just about dabbing. Just about dabbing. And then let's put this little guy in. Just stamp him right into the pot, like that. And then pull that color out. So you're dragging the color out, and then we're gonna add a little more color into here. So I'm gonna take some of my green on my palette, and I'm just gonna make a green line in the center. Because where the highlight is, it's kind of the ridge here. And then we can still see the light on the edge and the top. So let's add something decorative onto here to make it look more Southwest. And I'm just gonna use my black. It's the same black I used before. Draw kind of a Southwest pattern on here. You can make this your own and do whatever you want to do. And I'm just using the fine tip and just hand drawing it in. And then I can go over it. I can go over it with my brush. Just add a little water too. Kind of softens it all up. And maybe just color this in too. And I can actually take my fine tip and just kind of add a little dark areas in here too. Kind of where these rocks are, you know, down in between here, down inside this little pot. It's going to all add to your composition. So I'm going to take that big rock again, and I'm going to ink it in two colors, so the brown and the blue. And then I'm just going to stamp it over here, and then maybe I'll just use the edge and just hit it again, just to make it a little bit bigger. And you can see that, you can really see that mix of color that comes out. I just love that. I think it makes everything look so much more realistic. And you know, that's what we're trying to get. A painting, a little painting. So as soon as that dries a little bit, I'm gonna come back in with my rocks, my handy little rocks. Love these guys. And then just, you know, kind of walk it down a little bit. It doesn't matter how you stamp it. It really doesn't. Just stamp it a bunch of times, because when you hit it with the water, you're gonna get those lights and darks. And then I'm gonna come back in here with my little grass and just hit this now with the grass. And then I think I'll put a little bit over here as well. And could actually use the brown and just put a little of that branch in as well. This is another one of my favorites. Love this guy. And let's maybe put it in like that. And let's put a little bit over here too. Maybe one back here. And let's see, now that I've got this branch in my hand, maybe I want to put some over here and over here. And the cool thing about it, you know, you can do these little paintings, and every time you do them, they're going to be different. So you're really going to have a special thing to give someone when you do this. I mean, I think even if I tried, I don't think I could do it the same every time. There's just no way. But I think that's the cool thing about it. Makes it unique and special. And by the way, you want to sign every one of these pages for sure. I always come back in and just double check everything and see if there's anything that I need to add anything to, change up, soften. And you can also, you know, come back days later. You can come back days later and change and add more to it. Because the water, you know, as soon as you hit it with the water, it's going to activate the color again. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this up so that you can see it. Oh, I'm going to sign it first because I just told you had to sign it. So I'm just going to sign down here. I'm going to sign it down there, and then I'll hold this up so that you can see each section. So here's the little corner. Now this is what I mean by just going in and doing it in the bottom. You know, you could just do a little painting in the bottom. You could do a little something on the side, you know, or you could do it across the top, which would also be really, really cool. So I hope you like this project. It was really, really fun. Now I want to fill out my whole journal. So I hope you say you want to see more of these because they really, really are fun to do. So let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you want to see. And thank you so much for following me. Thanks for watching these videos and meeting me every Wednesday. I appreciate it so much. And I will see you next week on Wednesday Live on Facebook. Thanks so much for watching.